What if the comfort you cling to is actually killing you? The safety you chase, the approval you crave, the need to be certain. What if these aren't keeping you safe, but slowly choking you? Your body knows it. That empty feeling in your chest at 3 a.m. isn't random. By the end of this video, you'll see why successful people pay a price that everyone else avoids, and how this one change can transform your whole life. I'll show you why running from discomfort isn't protecting you. It's keeping you from everything you really want. Stay with me, because once you get this idea, you'll never look at your choices the same way again. People will tell you it's safer to dream small. They'll call it being realistic, or growing up, or knowing your place. What they won't tell you is that they're scared. They're scared of what happens when someone near them starts to grow, to push past limits. They're scared of the mirror you become when you refuse to make yourself small to make them feel okay. Have you noticed how the moment you decide to become a bigger version of yourself, you face pushback? Not just from others, but from inside you too. That voice that whispers, "Who do you think you are?" The sudden tiredness that wasn't there yesterday. The urgent problems that demand your attention right when you've promised to focus on your growth. This isn't by chance. This is the courage tax. Take a breath. Let that sink in. The courage tax. The hidden cost that gets charged to anyone who dares to live beyond the edges of normal. Think about the last time you spoke an honest desire out loud. Maybe it was quitting that soul-crushing job. Maybe it was setting a boundary with someone who's been draining you for years. Or maybe it was finally admitting that the path you're on isn't truly yours. It was given to you by parents, by society, by a younger you who was just trying to survive. What happened next? For most people, everything seemed to fight against that desire. People questioned your judgment. Doubts filled your mind. The safe routine you've been in suddenly felt better than the scary unknown of your true calling. So you backed down. You made excuses. You settled. And something inside you died a little. This pattern isn't random. It's the tax. The price you must pay for living true to yourself. Look at your life right now. Not as you pretend it is. Not as you wish it was. But as it really is. The compromises that have become so normal, you don't even notice them anymore. The dreams you've put off for someday. The relationships where you've made yourself smaller to keep the peace. This is the slow rotting of a life half-lived. It shows up as that empty feeling in your chest when you scroll through social media and see others living boldly. It's the quiet anger that builds when you watch someone speak a truth you've been keeping quiet. It's the empty feeling that visits you at 3 a.m., asking if this is really all there is. You didn't heal. You just got used to the pain. The scariest part? This decay feels comfortable, familiar. It doesn't ask anything of you except to give up. I've seen so many people stuck in this trap. The woman who keeps putting off her business because the timing isn't right. The man who stays in a loveless marriage because breaking up seems too hard. The artist who only creates what sells instead of what burns inside them. They all have the same wound. They've been paying the wrong tax. Instead of paying the courage tax, facing short-term pain for long-term truth, they're paying the mediocrity tax. And that tax grows bigger every day, with interest. Stop for a moment. Feel the weight of that truth. The mediocrity tax looks like waking up at 50 and wondering where your life went. It looks like seeing that the respect you wanted from others never came because you never respected yourself enough to live truly. It looks like the quiet sadness of knowing you settled when something amazing was calling to you. Who in your life gets uncomfortable when you grow? When you shine? When you stop playing by the made-up rules? And more importantly, how much longer will you dim your light to make them comfortable in their darkness? Drop a fire emoji in the comments if this question just hit you hard, because this is where the real work starts. Your silence isn't peace, it's betraying yourself. A thinker named Nietzsche talked about an idea that shows this problem perfectly: the last man versus the overman. The last man, according to Nietzsche, wants comfort above all else, safety, sameness, the warm blanket of being average. We have found happiness, the last man says, blinking. In simple words, the last man picks safety over growth, every time. But the overman, the person who rises above, knows that real fulfillment comes not from comfort, but from constantly overcoming yourself, from facing necessary pain as the path to growth. This tension isn't new. It's woven through all human history, showing up in different ways across cultures. The hero's journey described by Joseph Campbell shows us that every meaningful change requires crossing a line where safety is left behind. Think of it like crossing a river. On one bank stands everything familiar: your current self, your comfortable habits, the people who know the current version of you. On the other bank is everything you could become, your potential, your true expression, your deeper purpose. The courage tax is the cold water you must walk through to reach the other side. Most people never try the crossing. They stand on the familiar bank, telling themselves stories about why that other shore isn't really worth reaching. Or worse, they wade in halfway, feel the cold current, and retreat back to safety, telling themselves, "At least I tried." Comfort is just fear wearing a cozy sweater. But here's what Nietzsche understood that most miss: that river crossing isn't optional if you want a life with meaning. It's necessary, again and again. The river might change form throughout your life. Job changes, relationship changes, spiritual awakenings. But the basic choice stays the same: safety or freedom, comfort or courage. Take another deep breath. Let your body feel this truth. And here's where the real weight of the courage tax shows itself. Those who refuse to pay it don't just miss chances to grow. They experience a special kind of suffering that makes the tax itself look kind by comparison. Think about an eagle raised among chickens. It spends its life walking the ground, pecking at seeds, never knowing it was born to soar above mountains. The eagle pays no courage tax. It never risks looking silly by trying to fly. But the cost? Its entire birthright. Its very nature. How many humans live this way, walking when they were meant to fly? And at what point does the pain of staying the same finally hurt more than the pain of changing? You weren't born to peck at seeds. You were born to touch the sky. The courage tax isn't collected randomly. It follows patterns, shows up at predictable moments, and, most importantly, serves a purpose beyond just making you suffer. Understanding these patterns helps you pay this tax wisely rather than being shocked by its demands. The tax appears most heavily at threshold moments, when you're about to level up in some area of life. It's like the universe has a special system that detects real growth and immediately sends you a bill. You decide to finally start the business you've been dreaming of, and suddenly 3 family emergencies demand your attention. You commit to a healthier lifestyle, and friends start sabotaging your efforts with constant temptations. You set a boundary with a toxic person, and a crowd of voices, inside and outside, list all the reasons you're being too harsh. This is the threshold guardian at work, an idea found in stories across time. This guardian tests your resolve, asking basically, how badly do you want what's beyond this point? Enough to face discomfort? Enough to be misunderstood? Enough to stand alone if needed? The universe doesn't test you. It just watches what you choose. But why does this tax exist at all? Why isn't living true to yourself easier? Because growth needs friction. Diamonds form under pressure. Muscles grow through resistance. Character builds through challenge. Without the tax, the transformation lacks depth. There's a special character that shows up over and over in this process. The comfortable saboteur. This figure might be well-meaning friends, family members, or even parts of your own mind. The saboteur's job is to keep things the same at all costs, to keep you safely inside the boundaries of what's known. You're being selfish. The saboteur whispers when you follow your dreams. You're going to fail. It warns when you step beyond your comfort zone. Who do you think you are? It demands when you refuse to play small. Pause. Recognize these voices. They've shaped you more than you realize. What makes the saboteur so effective is that it comes from a place of real concern. It truly believes it's protecting you. After all, the familiar, even when painful, has proven you can survive it. The unknown hasn't proven itself safe yet. You don't owe anyone an explanation for outgrowing what no longer serves you. You don't owe anyone an explanation for choosing courage over comfort. You don't owe anyone an explanation for claiming the life that calls to your soul. This truth is key to paying the courage tax without being crushed by it. The tax isn't personal. It isn't punishment. It's simply how transformation works. Think about the caterpillar entering the cocoon. Inside that dark space, it doesn't simply grow wings. It turns to liquid. Its entire former self dissolves before reforming into something new. If caterpillars could think like we do, wouldn't they fight this process? Wouldn't they fear the melting of everything they've known themselves to be? Transformation isn't adding something. It's melting and being reborn. This melting is exactly what the courage tax often feels like. Your former identity, the one that kept you safe but small, must partly dissolve before your authentic self can emerge. This is why the tax feels so threatening. It's not just challenging what you do, it's challenging who you are. The people around you sense this shift too. They've built relationships with your former self, created expectations based on your familiar patterns. When you begin changing, their entire relationship with you is thrown into question. Their pushback isn't just about you. It's about the disruption to their own sense of stability. You don't owe anyone an explanation for outgrowing what no longer serves you. The tax will demand payment in different currencies: comfort, certainty, approval, belonging. It will ask for sacrifice. But here's what most miss. You get to choose which sacrifices you make. Will you sacrifice authenticity for approval? Purpose for security? Self-respect for belonging? Or will you make the braver sacrifices? Short-term comfort for lasting fulfillment, others' expectations for your own integrity, the known for the possible. You don't owe anyone an explanation for outgrowing what no longer serves you. Take a moment. Let that sentence sink deep into your bones. The empowering insight at the heart of this process is this. The courage tax isn't just a cost, it's an investment. Every payment builds wealth in your authentic life. Every moment of discomfort faced in service of your truth adds to your inner wealth. While others avoid the tax through compromise and shrinking, they're actually going bankrupt slowly, day by day, choice by choice. Swallowing your truth doesn't make you peaceful. It turns you into a graveyard. Who would you be if you stopped fearing the tax collector? This question isn't just talk. Close your eyes for a moment and truly imagine. If other people's opinions lost their power over you, if temporary discomfort no longer dictated your choices, if you trusted the voice of your deeper wisdom more than the chorus of outside expectations, who would come forth? The version of you that exists on the other side of the courage tax isn't just doing different things. They are different. They've shed the false self you've been wearing like armor. The people pleaser, the perfectionist, the constant caretaker who never tends to their own garden, the thinker who lives in their head because feeling seems too dangerous. These roles kept you safe once. They helped you survive places where your true self wasn't welcomed. They were needed scaffolding for a time in your growth. But now they're prisons. Comfortable prisons maybe, but prisons nonetheless. What relationship would you leave if you were brave enough to face being alone? What truth would you speak if you were willing to be misunderstood? What calling would you answer if failing didn't scare you so much? You don't owe anyone an explanation for claiming the life that calls to your soul. The most painful part of the courage tax isn't actually the outside pushback. It's the war inside yourself. Part of you sees the truth and yearns toward it. Another part clings desperately to the known, to the strategies that have worked so far, to the identity that others recognize and accept. This war can only be resolved through a kind of death. The death of who you thought you were. The death of the false self that was built for survival, but can never truly thrive. You don't owe anyone an explanation for becoming who you were always meant to be. Breathe into that truth. Let it reach the parts of you that have been waiting to hear it. The great twist in all of this, the part of you that fears the tax doesn't actually disappear. It transforms. The sensitivity that made you a people pleaser becomes wisdom about where to invest your energy. The perfectionism that kept you small becomes excellence on your own terms. The caretaking that drained you becomes helping others with clear boundaries that fills you up. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is truly lost except the limits you've outgrown. Here's the soul punch that most never grasp. The comfort you cling to isn't actually comfortable. It's slow suffocation disguised as safety. The approval you chase isn't actually nurturing. It's conditional love that keeps you tied to others' expectations. The certainty you crave isn't actually possible. It's a lie that keeps you from the messy, beautiful adventure of authentic living. You don't owe anyone an explanation for choosing life over slow death. Remember that empty feeling we talked about? That quiet desperation of a life half-lived? It's not your natural state. It's the built-up interest on a tax you've been avoiding. When you finally face the courage tax head-on, when you step into the river despite the cold, when you enter the cocoon despite the melting, something amazing happens. The very discomfort you feared becomes the doorway to freedom. The criticism that once wounded you deeply now barely touches your skin. The uncertainty that froze you becomes an exciting field of possibility. The loneliness you dreaded transforms into sacred alone time where you finally hear your own voice clearly. Your fear isn't wisdom. It's just fear wearing glasses and pretending to be smart. This is the twist at the heart of the human journey. What we fight against most often is what would free us most completely. I've seen people transformed by this understanding. The executive who walked away from a prestigious but soul-crushing career to start a small business helping others. The partner who finally ended a relationship that looked perfect from outside but was empty inside. The artist who stopped creating marketable work and began expressing their darkest truths, only to find their authentic voice connected more powerfully than their fake one ever could. In each case, the courage tax seemed devastating when they paid it. Looking back, it was the entrance fee to a richer life. So I ask you now, what tax are you currently avoiding? What truth sits heavy on your chest, waiting to be spoken? What path calls to you even as you turn away from it in fear? Take a moment of quiet. Let your body speak to you. Comment below with these words: I release the fear tax. Make it a promise to yourself, a declaration that from this day forward, you'll pay the courage tax willingly, knowing it's the price of your freedom, your authenticity, your one wild and precious life. Living your truth isn't selfish. It's the greatest gift you can give to a world drowning in fake masks. This look at the courage tax is just the beginning. In the coming weeks, we'll dig deeper into the specific forms this tax takes. From the tax of visibility that comes when you stop hiding your gifts, to the tax of boundaries that appears when you start honoring your limits, to the tax of purpose that shows up when you align with your deeper calling. Each video will give you not just understanding, but practical ways to pay these taxes skillfully, without being crushed by their weight. If you're ready to stop living small, to stop paying the compound interest on avoided courage, subscribe now and hit the notification bell. This journey isn't for those who want it easy. It's for those who sense there's something more calling to them, even if that call is just a whisper right now. Not deciding is still deciding. It's just letting fear make the choice for you. Remember, everyone pays taxes. Either the courage tax that leads to freedom, or the mediocrity tax that leads to regret. There's no way to avoid paying altogether. The only choice is which tax collector you'll answer to, your fear or your truth. I'm choosing truth. Are you with me? They say the bravest thing a person can do is to look directly at their life, not as they wish it was, not as they've been told it should be, but as it really is. And then make just one authentic choice. One choice, then another, until one day, you look back and realize you've created not just a different life, but a different person within that life. A person who no longer flinches when the tax collector knocks. A person who understands that each payment doesn't make you smaller. It reveals who you truly are. Your courage isn't about feeling no fear. It's about feeling all of it and moving forward anyway. The courage tax never goes away completely. Each new level of growth will present its bill. But what changes is your relationship to it. What once felt like robbery comes to feel like a fair trade. Discomfort for growth, uncertainty for possibility, the known for the infinite. Maybe in the end, courage isn't about being fearless at all. It's about feeling the full weight of your fear and still choosing the path that calls to your soul. It's about understanding that the tax is high precisely because what lies beyond it has no price. So tell me, what will you do with your one wild and precious life? Will you pay now or pay later with interest? The comfort you cling to isn't protecting you. It's slowly killing you. The tax collector waits for your answer.